Hey everyone, it is late at night and I am Norman. This is the 13th day in my 30 dress watches in 30 days challenge. Tonight we're looking at a watch that I own and absolutely love, the Longines Dolcevita. This watch is so absolutely brilliant. And in previous videos I've done on this watch, I mentioned that even though this wasn't purchased at an AD, it kind of feels like it was. Because I got to see this particular model in person, try it on, see what it was like on the wrist. I even got to sort of see it almost side by side with the Cartier Tank Americain because I tried that one on just a few minutes before trying this one on. And strangely enough, I actually preferred this watch. So within about a week or so of visiting that shop, I ended up purchasing it online just because I was able to afford it that way. I found a Black Friday coupon code and it was already a little bit less because it was gray market. Otherwise I would have been waiting at least a month before I could pick it up. And the AD that I found it in is a bit over an hour away, and I don't really make it out there a whole lot. So sadly, I wasn't able to purchase the one that I was trying on. I was hoping to, but I didn't realize that the quartz Dolcevitas are just as expensive as the automatics. I was thinking it would be cheaper, kind of like the Hamilton Bolton, but no. So let's take a close look at this watch. It's been a while since it's been in front of the camera. Here is the Dolcevita. This is such a brilliant watch. As many of you know, this is actually my second Longines Dolcevita. I owned the automatic variant for a while, and that was a larger watch. And it had a date window, so I'd been keeping my eyes open for one of the quartz ones because they have a sub-seconds on them, which is a great complication for a quartz watch. The ticking of the quartz seconds hand isn't so jarring, it's very subtle. And this size is so much better for a dressy tank style watch, in my opinion. And having owned both of them, it's night and day. I rarely wore the larger automatic one. And I hadn't really even gone little at that time so much. But this one, I wear a lot, still. In fact, to do this video, I had to grab it off the shelf. It wasn't in the watch box because I wore it just the other day. I have it on this vintage style leather strap, which is nice and thin. Focus. Which is nice and thin and looks amazing on this watch. This is a buckle that I found on Etsy. Yeah, this strap is so great. The dial on these watches is super impressive. Look at that texture there and the blued hands and indices. However, what I find really steals the show is the crystal. Look at that. It's a curved sapphire crystal, and the distortions are just crazy looking. But these are not cheap. Even the quartz variants are over $1,000. But like I mentioned, I got this with a discount, and it was already on the gray market, so slightly discounted as it was. It still wasn't cheap. These crowns are difficult to operate. So with the automatic one, if you're waking it up and you want to give it a little bit of power reserve, really tough to do that. But for setting the time, they aren't bad at all. I've done a full review of this watch. I'll have to try and track that down and put it in the description below, or in a card during this video. so that you can get the exact model number and size of this watch. I don't even recall offhand how big this watch is. I've looked it up a few times, but I always forget. Tank style watches are kind of weird size-wise. You know, with round pieces, we have the common sizes that we're all used to. 40mm, 36mm, 42mm. But with square watches and tank style watches, they're kind of all over the place. But yeah, this watch is just absolutely gorgeous. I'm a huge Tank Americain fan, which is why I tried one on. But like I said, I almost like these more. They're just so thin and they're actually pretty sleek. I prefer the lugs on this. Although one thing that's really cool about the Tank Americains is their cases are polished, but on the sides they're brushed. And they even have visible screws on the sides, which gives it a really interesting aesthetic. Okay, so let me take off my vintage Certina. I loaned this to a friend last year, so it's been away for a while. And it's kind of funny, I sort of just forgot that we did that trade for probably about 6 months. And then I remembered and missed this watch. So it's great having it back in the collection. It always reminds me of like a 1950s hubcap. But it's such a great looking watch. Let me take this off and we'll see what it's like when you're wearing the Dolcevita. Yes. There is the Longines Dolcevita on my 7-inch wrist. My wrist is 55mm wide. So you can kind of get some context number-wise as for how this wears. Longines considers this a ladies' watch, but I feel like for a tank style watch, these proportions are perfect. There's that crystal. That dial design is just brilliant. And that is a really cool buckle. The taper on this strap is perfect for this watch. I feel like with tank style watches, you have to kind of be careful with the taper. You want it subtle. If it's straight, I feel like it looks kind of weird. However, if it's too much, it also looks pretty strange. But I feel like this taper works. Yeah. This watch is so cool. So there you have it, the brilliant tank style dress watch that I love just as much now as I did when I first purchased it. The Longines Dolcevita. Thanks for watching.